question is, how has your public speaking helped your career and improved your life?
Wow, that's a very fun, fabulous question. I accidentally became a public speaker at the age of 12.
Wow.
So So I won in my classroom. We had to give a 5-minute talk, and I won in the classroom, and it was on home safety. How boring. I thought, oh my God, how am I going to make this?
How do you make that exciting, right?
Oh my gosh, but I'm like super passionate, right? So I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I got to do a good job. And and I'm all into this, and you have to do the note cards and memorize. And I've got all these great statistics, which is not me. I'm not logical and analytical at all. And my sister made me practice in the living room of, well, you didn't look at Mr. Bayer. You need to look at, anyhow, I won in my classroom. Then I won for the school. And when you won for the school, you had to give it in front of the parents in the auditorium. And one of the guys afterwards came up to me and said, I was so afraid to get out of my chair after you were done talking, because if I'm going to do something, I'm like all into it, right?
Right.
Then by the age of 17, I became state DECA president for Wisconsin. So I spent my entire senior year, 40 days out of school, traveling and speaking around the state to students, but also business partners, and being a brand ambassador. And then I also did national. So I did national talks and all that kind of stuff. And the funny part is, I'm from the projects. Nobody had gone to college, nothing. And I really didn't think I'd be able to go. And my ability to win that state contest, which let me serve for a whole year, got me into college. And my sister, 13 months before me, was the first in our family to ever go. And so technically speaking is what helped me, because I was like, I'm not very smart. I don't know how I'm going to do, that's what got me. And so since then, I was a formal teacher. So I taught high school and college. But speaking has really been, I think, the core piece of my business. And yet speaking, I don't consider just a keynote standing up. Right now, I do speaking on LinkedIn in 2 seconds and look what happens. I do 5-minute speeches that are, change the world. I'm applying for a TEDx talk right now where I'm like, that's a super fun challenge. 12 minutes to try to get an idea that spreads. Like, that's just a juicy challenge.
Oh yeah, it is a challenge.
I'm scared,
Boy,
but I can do it.
you touched on so many things that I can relate to. I applied for a TEDx talk a couple of different, probably about 5 times.
Yeah.
I've never not been able to get up for a TEDx talk yet, just because of conflicts and scheduling and just trying to make it work. And you have to be accepted when you apply, and it has to fit a theme and all kinds of things like that. So for whatever reason, it hasn't happened yet. I still am trying. But that's fabulous. And to be a public speaker and really be able to talk about your message passionately at such a young age, that's just incredible. I wish, that speaks to my heart, because I've always been so afraid all my life. And it wasn't until later in my life that I decided to just it's just not getting me anywhere. I just can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. And even just our, very logical, pragmatic people like myself, we have messages to give. We have passionate messages to give. Everyone does, no matter what your personality.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to accomplish, is it's trying to help these people that are like myself, who have given bad PowerPoints or not able to translate their message, not take hard data facts and put it into terms that we can all understand and wrap it up into this great message. That's what I'm trying to accomplish, is trying to help them translate that great content into something that we can all identify with.
And I think that's amazing and great. So I'd like to give you and your followers a encouragement here.
Thank you.
I am always amazed by the people I understand it's like one of the top concerns, right? Public speaking, but particularly for somebody who is an introvert personality, that is an even bigger than somebody who is not. To go, oh my gosh, I want to learn how to do this. And so I hugely give kudos out. And I've been a speech coach teacher for a long time. Like, half of mine was the joy of going, but you do, of course, you have something to say and share. And a different voice is so interesting and great, and just getting a little bit of technique and comfort, or like video people are uncomfortable. And I coach authenticity on video,
right
not
here.
confidence. Okay, hey, so I don't teach confidence on video. I teach authenticity, because I don't want you to like confidently give me a game face. I want you to be who you are,
Right.
But that's what's cool about what you're doing. It's what's cool about all the encouragement I've given speakers over time. We need all the voices. We need all the thoughts.
Right.
And I just huge kudos for the challenge of I'm going to get to the end of the diving board and I'm going off, you know, that's awesome.
Right. And what's really one of the biggest challenges that I have is watching myself on Zoom video. It's really difficult for me to like see myself, and I have to be okay with myself because none of us are perfect. And we just have to say, just draw the line somewhere and
Yep.
say, this is who I am. I'm putting myself out there. This is the risk I have to take in order to make the difference. If I don't do that, nothing's ever going to get accomplished. And you have to get over your insecurities and your like fear of looking at yourself and putting yourself out there. Like I said, even the most beautiful people in the world hate seeing themselves on video or pictures because they can find every single flaw with themselves.
Yes.
We do that. We spend all day just looking at our flaws and we just don't see all the great stuff that comes out.
So can I give you a tip or trick, and maybe you already share this, but
Sure.
here's the greatest one I think that I've ever learned in my 10 and a half years being on video and speaking and whatever. It is, we feel that way because we've got it flipped around backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we are a speaker or we are a content creator or somebody on video, we are thinking about ourselves at that minute. And really it needs to be the exact opposite of
Right.
if we want to be a voice, a speaker, an educator. When I was a high school teacher, didn't stand up there and think, oh, did my students think I look okay? Or what? I wasn't the slightest bit thinking about it because my job was to be a teacher, right?
Right.
So when we're on video or when we're speaking, we need to flip it around this way. And the focus is on who is that one most important person that I really need to hear me. That's all I do.
Mm-hmm.
Or like right now, why I always get my eyes in the wrong spot. I'm not supposed to look here. I want to look at you.
Me
so
too.
this is me. I go, I want to connect with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not getting all into, do you see my wrinkles? And I got, because I'm here with you.
Right.
And that is the greatest thing I could teach anybody of when we have it on ourselves, our intent's in the wrong place. We aren't going to serve if we got it this way. We serve this way and for who?
Yeah.
And that helped me a lot.
Those are just a lot of insecurities that we all have to deal with and at our own rates in life. For me, because of challenges that I grew up with, for whatever reason, that growth was stunted. And you can kick yourself every day regretting those times when you weren't growing when you were young. And but I can't do that either. That's not going to serve any purpose. It's like from now forward, this is what we're going to do, and I'm going to start living now. So, and making sure that I grow professionally and personally. Yes. That's great. Thank you so much for those really encouraging messages.
Well, and I can relate to all of it. Like people look at me and they have an impression, right?
Right.
My whole background was incredibly traumatic growing up and even till recent years.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we could definitely touch on more of that in another session.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying too, I relate.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just saying that I would love to do another session at some point to try to get deeper into the story. But no, go ahead. That's fine.
That's all I was going to say. It's just, people just, they have a visual impression of people, right? And they wouldn't have guessed. I have an incredibly traumatic background. I have tons of things that are hard. I still, feel triggered or anxious about certain things myself that people wouldn't guess.
Right.
And so I think we also just assume certain people have it and others don't. And really, most of us have it. You know?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We just don't want to admit that we have fear, insecurities, because it's a sign of weakness. Well, what we've been taught by certain people in our lives is that if you show, like for me, it was my dad, never show weakness, always show that you're tough, because otherwise if you show your vulnerabilities, everybody's going to walk all over you. And I want you to be tough. I want you to be this person who doesn't show their full feelings and emotions, because I want to raise strong children. Well, he had it completely backwards. But that's another story for another time too. So, which is kind of partly the reason why I got into public speaking and what I do today.